Hey guys, Kevin Cage back with another cryptocurrency update. Welcome to the channel. Like and subscribe if you're serious about the digital asset space. Let's get right into it. Today we're going to talk about liquidity. We're going to be talking about on-demand liquidity with Ripple software. We're going to be talking and even tying in R3. Now, these are some points that a lot of people often overlook. I feel like a lot of the people are newcomers that come into this community, and based off of the viewers on my video, I feel like there may be maybe a good 500 people that truly understand the ecosystem here. So something that I did address last week was basically just saying it's really sad that crypto investors, you and I included, only believe, or the majority of us only believe in the technology when the price is going up, whether that is any digital asset you are invested in. You suddenly believe it when you get that green candle, yet the ones that are going to make the most money in this market understand, invest, and believe in their asset well before that time comes. You do not follow the money, you beat it there. Now, regardless of price, the builders are still building. There's integrations, there's proof of concepts. They're connecting on a daily basis, working with the top tier regulators. So I want to show you guys a few clips in news that happened earlier this year, and many people are not paying attention to this. Granted, there is something much bigger that will have an effect on price, in my opinion, but I do want to show, just some things that we often overlook. So right here, this clip, I did share it on my second channel. Feel free to go check that out. But this is Brad Garlinghouse and CNN, Miss Julia Chatterley. And he's talking right here saying, in 1 week alone, they were already pushing $54 million from US dollar to the Mexican peso. That is 7.5% of the volume. In December, they were at 3%. So they already more than doubled that. And now they're approaching, as we can see in this article, also not only 10%, but 20%, guys. This is growing quickly. So just listen to this clip. I apologize about the low volume. I do have the subtitles right here. It's about 10 seconds.
Put numbers on it. Last week, we did $54 million of XRP flows into Mexico. That's 7.5% of all flow from US dollar to Mexican peso.
You were 7% of the market
last week, and that's up from maybe 3% in December. So this is growing very quickly. And look, these are huge industries that can be made massively more efficient by using these new technologies.
So again, we are only looking at price, but you're not seeing what is occurring on the back end. There is no fundamental news that has scared me. There is no competitor, that finality settlement token, that utility settlement token, nothing. I've addressed it on this channel each and every day. So again, we see 7.5% USD to Mexican remittances through Bitso. This was from SVP, and I believe that's Ashish Birla addressing this as well. Yep, so right here, Ashish Birla addressing this. We know this, okay? I get it. You guys want the newer news, and we can see even in February 2020, they're handling now, or their goal is to handle 20% of transfers. So again, more than doubling, nearly tripling at 21%. Now, as we can see, guys, Mexican peso is a huge corridor between the US dollar, and these low-hanging fruit, of course, is what Ripple is tackling. Again, these are high volume but low value. That necessarily is not going to move the price, but guess what? It has utility and it will reduce demand. I know these payment transactions are occurring, and especially with Volcker rule and things of that nature, hedge funds and these FIs and corporates can actually hold in custody said asset. That is bullish. Now, what I'm really looking at is R3. Keep in mind, Anders Lundberg, guys, I literally want you guys to go right here to this video. I will link it in the top of this video description. He is also on Twitter, great researcher, and has a good blog as well, X_Anderson. Now, he basically tied in all the points and speculation connections between R3, their open sourced platform Corda, and utilizing XRP. Now, they are specifically for high value transfers in the world of trade finance. This is where the behemoths come from. This is where, and I know I'm going to get, a dislike on this, but this is where that potential 3 to 4 digit XRP can come from. All right. So without further ado, we're going to tie it into this. And with R3, what you must know, guys, even with CLS and foreign exchange transactions, 88% of all foreign exchange transactions involve the US dollar reserve currency. That is something often overlooked, so we even look at those domestic use cases between USD to USD and walled gardens and things of that nature. I know there was that clip that was going viral of Vladimir Putin, talking, about the US dollar reserve status and saying, and even, the United States for that matter has kind of stated that they do not want the US dollar to be the reserve currency anymore. Typically this lasts 90 to 100 years, and there's usually a big black swan event every 90 years, give or take. And this is quoted from various professionals. Now, the dollar enjoyed great trust around the world, but for some reason it is being used as a political weapon. And this is from Putin. Imposing restrictions. So many countries are now turning away from the dollar as a reserve currency. The US dollar will collapse soon. That is an actual quote from him. And again, this was posted back in 2019. But I just want to show you what the BRICS nations, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa are working on. Be ready to see further developments. Again, the Chinese currency, we did a video on that. Please check it out. Talking about the DCEP, digital currency electronic payment. They're rolling it out between, 4 major cities in China right now in May. Things are occurring. Watch the BRICS news. I'm watching the petrodollar status collapse. And it's my belief, not financial advice, we will see some version of a new backing. Now, I'm not going to say 100% gold standard. I don't see that. I do believe, though, that gold will play a role as we've seen central banks accumulating more than ever. Now, another example, I know every video lately I've been just showing you, yes, Bank of America is one of Ripple's customers. Are they using XRP? No, but they are utilizing RippleNet to some degree. And I just want to show you, even in 2018, Daniel Aranda, managing director at Ripple, says this. All right, 40-second clip. Listen up. And again, this is shared by Stetis, so we appreciate it.
We fundamentally believe that over the long term, these digital assets are going to be transformative, that they are going to fundamentally re-architect the way that the internet works. And it's going to enable all kinds of new services. The question is, how do you get there? Yeah. And Ripple as a company, again, we're very, very focused on solving one problem. There are real customers that problem solves, a big thing for. And they're doing real things with the technology. They're actually moving money around the world. We have about 100 customers today, includes Western Union, MoneyGram, Bank of America, Standard Chartered, and Santander. So really trying to build up a global network where they're able to move money more effectively on behalf of their customers.
All right, you heard it there again. Now, basically going hand in hand, I know I'm all over the place today, but Anders Lundberg, again, in this video, even showing proof and additional information you can find. This is at your fingertips. You don't have to sit on YouTube. Again, right here, they talk about it, and I think even Savvy XRP talked about it. SBI, for example, the behemoth in Japan, they are the largest shareholder in R3, kind of the boys on Wall Street that wanted to get a slice of the pie in this digital transformation that is occurring, with DLT being one component of it, and Corda and their settler application. I mean, there's also additional things with reconciliation and messaging, I get it, but settlement of money is part of faster payments. People don't realize there's a difference between payment and settlement until you really look into the correspondent banking network, and I think many people are surprised that there's not settlement on the core ledgers of these central banks. All right, SBI. So they're the largest shareholder in Ripple. They own roughly 10% of Ripple. I mean, largest shareholder in R3 as well. Not in Ripple, excuse me. So R3, but then they own 10% of Ripple. They've, obviously they've made it known. Even Yoshitaka Kitao said that they want to mass adopt XRP. That's been everywhere in documents and interviews. That is, you cannot argue that. And again, guys, SBI has influence over both. And if R3 clients use Corda Settler, XRP's been the only digital asset named to settle. So it's kind of between XRP or Swift GPI, which is just like Xcurrent in messaging. So again, they want to get rid of and reduce pre-funded accounts. So what do you think the obvious choice is? They said that they were going to name additional digital assets, but have not. They said they are able to and are agnostic and can use others to settle, but they have not. And again, if they use walled garden assets, that is fine on a permissioned database. But that is not solving the problem of trust. So regardless, it is my belief, of course, with the lawsuit that R3 had, they are holding a large amount. I know the original amount was for 5 billion XRP. I'm going to be conservative and just assume that they settled for way less than that. Regardless, do you see what I'm saying? There is a vested interest. They want a higher price, and high value transactions drive the price up. When we see high value and high volume, it's game over. And that could potentially happen very quickly. But again, I urge you all to do your own research. All right, now to go with, let's see, up next. So again, Arturo Portilla, just quoting again a few quotes from Brad Garlinghouse and Brianne Madigan. And this article came out on Ripple, Liquidity in Global Markets. Now, many of you have already read this. I'm going to skim through it to respect your time. But again, Arturo Portilla, again, definite follow. He actually was the former XRP Center Manager on Twitter, one of the biggest pages for XRP information. Really, really smart and tech-savvy guy. All right, so again, right here. April 20th, identifying new use cases for digital assets outside of cross-border remittances will also deepen the trading pool and liquidity for XRP. Remember, we're even talking about the decentralized exchange capabilities, getting more and more volume, more buyers and sellers at all price points, with various use cases outside of just on-demand liquidity. We saw that, what was it, a Bit Casino? I know it's a silly use case, but again, there's a market for it, and it can be rather significant. We've seen, R3 building. We've seen, of course, Coil initiatives with micropayments. We see Forte and the game developers and the folks at Spring really pushing that along. There's various use cases occurring, and then even the Logos network with DeFi being built, thanks to Ripple's Spring investment as well. Now, remember, they said they're not going to be tackling other problems outside of cross-border remittances until that's kind of a done deal and guaranteed and they're well established. It's my belief that we are already connected with the majority of the banks in the world via RippleNet, but now the question is, when will we kind of flip that switch and push them towards XRP for the true cost savings? Okay, then Brad Garlinghouse, he does say this quote a lot, recently said it on March 3rd. I hope that in 5 years, we are not just Amazon Books, like Amazon started via just books, but we are Amazon, the behemoth that eventually owns all verticals. Huge. So right here, guys, this is on Ripple.com, liquidity and global markets. And if you have not seen my recent video talking about liquidity, extremely high level, please do. There were a lot of videos over the weekend that were not viewed at all, so feel free to check those out. I did put in work on those. All right, so right here, talking about the 2008 financial crisis, books are going to be written about this event, of course, and this all stems from liquidity. And again, XRP serves as that financial lubricant or that financial oil to make the engines of commerce function in the world of trade finance and international payments. All right, talking about liquidity. And again, the greater the volume, so the higher the number of people trading or, buying and selling and exchanging in this market, the higher the liquidity, the easier it is to kind of buy and sell and get your assets and value, and the faster the matching between buyers and sellers. Okay, so if someone's asking for, an offer and we'll buy it at 19.1 cents, and then someone's going to sell at, 19.2 cents, there's a smaller spread. It's kind of a fraction spread, and that is what we want, and that is where it's cheaper. If someone was offering to buy at 20 cents and someone was selling at, $1, that's a massive spread, and that's going to be very expensive if you try to buy 100,000 XRP to, settle, millions. That's ridiculous. So we need tight spreads. We need an ecosystem that is fostered with tons of buyers and sellers, and we have market makers that essentially make markets and provide this buying and selling at all times. Now, this is very doable because XRP to transact and the fees are minuscule. The burn rate is minuscule. That doesn't matter. We're not worried about that. We want to foster this ecosystem. All right, talking about treasury bonds, the issue today. I'm going to save your time there. I was already reading all of this. And right now, obviously, we're seeing in a liquid market, we're seeing liquidity crisis, and it is dry. There is no there's tons of friction in the payment volume. This is validating XRP's use case more than ever. Yet, Ripple is extremely quiet, even though we know that they have board members and have, taken action on the Faster Actions Task Force, have met with the Federal Reserve, the Trump administration, consulted for the BIS, the IMF, you name it. All right. So as a bridging tool in on-demand liquidity, the greater the liquidity of XRP, the less cost and risk in each transaction. Notice they can find the markets in the transaction quickly. You can settle on the rates. Boom, click, you're done. Obviously, XRP settling in 4 seconds. It's just a true no-brainer. We've already addressed this and how it actually makes it kind of that flywheel effect. So the more liquidity that is in this marketplace, the more, the cheaper it becomes. Then we can send higher value. And then when we send higher value, the price of XRP goes up. Therefore, the higher the price of XRP, it is also more liquid. So it has this flywheel effect. Then when you are sending, $50 million again, which is occurring all the time, or even billion-dollar transactions, it is significantly cheaper, and it will have this flywheel effect, and you'll always want to settle in XRP, and eventually it'll dominate all the corridors. And this is why many believe, slowly but surely, that XRP has a great chance of being that bridge asset, and a large amount of IOUs or XRP transactions can run on the XRP ledger. Whether you agree with me or not, that is fine. I want you guys to voice your opinion and facts, but just remember, I'm going to save this video, and I believe personally that this is going to go down in history because I believe there's a small group of us that saw what others did not. Right, talking about Bitso, and they've leveraged the use of on-demand liquidity to become the largest exchange in Latin America. Company's head of finance, Barbara Gonzalez-Briceño, says that the volume of trading has helped drive down the cost of remittances to the point that end users pay a fraction of traditional wire transfer fees. Great. But again, what are we here for? We're here for higher value transactions. We're here to see a price for XRP move. And I can, I'm not going to say that. I don't want to make any promises, but what I'm saying is I wholeheartedly believe that we will see that in due time, but I don't think that the road is going to be easily paved. All right. New growth for XRP liquidity will come from a number of different sources: emerging cross-border payment corridors and on-demand liquidity. Partner exchanges demanding new currency pairs for XRP will help improve trading volume and the ability to trade amongst assets. Absolutely. In today's financial market with Swift, sometimes if there's not a direct partner between, the Thai baht and some other small currency, what happens is they'll have to go through 3 or 4 currency pairs and keep going. Kind of like when you're on a Bitcoin exchange and you want to get some new altcoin and you have XRP, you have to go XRP, sell it for Bitcoin, get your Bitcoin, and then sell it to buy that new altcoin, things of that nature. It's expensive because there's a spread and there's fees with that trade, and you have to do a few multi-hops to get there. But with this, we're going to have direct compatibility in direct trading pairs. Hopefully that makes sense. So right here, but even non-ODL partner exchanges like Kraken or Coinbase, again, will contribute to increased liquidity. As non-ODL partner exchanges continue to grow more mainstream, larger institutional traders will begin transacting in XRP, making order books, including on-demand liquidity order books. Again, XRP is open sourced, so this is all affecting and all available. Okay, it's all going to benefit and have a direct or indirect impact positively. All right, and then right here, identifying new use cases outside of cross-border is going to deepen the trading pool and liquidity for XRP. As real-world solutions are solved with this technology, it will attract new, larger groups of traders, leading to even more volume and liquidity. Now, a lot of people say, oh, Kevin, you're not too level-headed. It's going to go up slow and steady. All right, well, David Schwartz addressed this, CTO of Ripple and one of the original architects of the XRP ledger, and he said, yeah, that's very possible. It could go up very slowly, even, whether it's 2% per week, 1% a day. But the thing is, large groups, market makers, traders are going to pay attention to that. And what happens when they see that trend and they see that it's driving adoption, utility, and it's going up due to this? Guess what? It catches attention and then it goes up very fast because everyone wants to hold it. With regulation and even corporates holding it, it's game over. So we could see various speculative and utility-based bull runs throughout this process. All right, more simply stated, it is the continuous utility that will foster liquidity depth, all right, number of buyers and sellers all the way at various price points, and market health around XRP. All right, the more value transfer problems it helps to solve, and payment frictions that it helps to reduce, the more diverse and efficient the adoption of XRP as a global payments asset will become. This will not be Bitcoin, and I believe XRP has the best chance. I do not see any other competitor competing on a level playing field. XRP, XRP Ledger, and Interledger Protocol. Remember, I'm saying this, I feel like a nut job, but I know there's other people that can see this as well. We are so early. All right, right here, Pacho Muchacho, the narrative is being built right in front of our eyes. What is this sharing? This is sharing R3. Again, a direct quote from R3 CTO, as we can see, Richard Gendel Brown, Chief Technology Officer at R3. And as we can anticipate, we can see, big use cases potentially coming towards end of year. All right. So right here, this quote: when the will is there, obviously, beneficial solutions do get adopted. And when the need is there, the public and private sectors, again, talking about that merging, just like Christine Lagarde, separately and collectively can roll out new infrastructure at breakneck speed. This is why I believe there's many things occurring behind the scenes. I just need to emphasize that. Remember, SBI, largest shareholder in R3. We know that R3 and Ripple go way back. You can see relationships to some of the biggest banks in the world and see similar partners. You can see MasterCard working with R3. You can see Visa acquired Earthport to use Ripple to replace Swift. And this is actually in a quote in one of my previous videos I've shared. I've shared the sources, and there are great researchers in this community, guys. I just wanted to share that. All right. lastly, we're going to finish up with this because I've been ranting. So Judy Shelton, guys, this is pretty interesting. I don't want to hype it up, but it was pretty cool. So essentially, we saw Miss Judy Shelton, and Digital Asset Investor was sharing this as well. Judy Shelton actually liked a comment of somebody, the Ripple Wrestling investor right here, set XRP the standard, and she liked it. And keep in mind, she's a big gold bug advocating the gold standard. We know that Donald Trump has been talking about the gold standard for decades at this point. You know, early 2000s, he was saying that. And even when he got on Twitter, you can see back in 2013, he's talking about the gold standard. Big proponents of that. I don't know if we'll ever return to that, but I do see some version of gold backing in this new economy, perhaps with the energy levels and sectors as well. We have to watch what plays out as the petrodollar dies, and we see that the dollar rises with new backing in utility on a level playing field. So again, Judy Shelton, as we can see here, an American economic advisor to President Donald Trump, right? For as we can see, advocacy for a return to the gold standard and for her criticisms on the Federal Reserve. Notice Trump does the same thing. They blame Powell. I'm not saying whose fault it is. I'm here to make money in the space, but I just want to show you the narrative is set. All right, enough ranting. But again, guys, I'm going to link Anders Lundberg's video in the top of this description. It's a 5-minute clip. I recommend you guys all watch it just to understand what is really at play here. So with that, I appreciate it as always. Thank you all to my channel members. Again, Jamie XRP, Mikey, Crypto Beginner at crypto-beginner.com, Philip, and all the rest of you. I appreciate you. Hit the like button, share this video around, and until next time,